What is up, everyone? This is your boy Not a Millionaire doing another reaction video for Halo Infinite. We will be doing the Halo Infinite 4 fundamentals, lighting and audio. Just like I said before, I can't tell you how stoked I am. This is going to be phenomenal. Can't wait to get my hands on it, like I've said multiple times. I'm really hoping this is shaping up to be a phenomenal comeback. Halo really needs it. We need it as a community. I mean, 343's got to get something and, pull us back in. I mean, we've got to have some give or take, and just we need this. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, and let's get this started.
Hey everyone, it's Unishek here, and welcome to our latest Forge video. We're going to be breaking down lighting and audio with some members of the Halo Infinite team. Today, I'm joined by Michael and Tyler. How's it going, guys?
Doing pretty good. It's going good, thanks.
You guys mind introducing yourselves for anyone who has not seen the previous video, Michael and Tyler, since you're new here?
Sure. I'm Michael Shore. I'm the Forge lead designer.
I'm Tyler Fedler. I'm one of the lighting artists and multiplayer in Forge.
And you've been working on some really cool stuff for us that we're going to take a look at today, yeah?
Yeah, we sure are. We're going to be looking at beauty corners.
Yeah. So before we dive in on lighting, though, I was curious, what kind of improvements did we want to take with lighting and, I guess, audio, too, in Halo Infinite's Forge?
Well, we kind of wholesale got all the new stuff from Slipspace. So we have physics-based or physically based rendering system. It's all completely different. We went from a light map type system to that PBR system. In addition, with the audio, which we'll talk about later, it's like a voxelized system, and which we can talk about it later. But yeah, it's a whole new lighting system the way it works. So,
and like we did last time, let's not talk about it. Let's show it.
Yeah.
Tyler, you've been working on some really cool stuff, and I was kind of curious, what inspired you to build this beautiful environment that we see right now?
Well, I was playing the campaign during this time while we were going throughout Forge, and I'm like, this is really cool. I want to kind of take a stab at this as well. And it's kind of like my own interpretation of like what campaign stuff could be. You know, big Forerunner stuff, mountains, trees, all that you need.
Yeah, so you kind of went campaign, your specialty in lighting, and your love for Forge, and you kind of combined it all to make this?
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the first things that I would do is like I would go throughout the map, make a block out and everything, and then afterwards I would start like adjusting the sun, which we can do that really quickly here.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So we go over to this setting called sunlight, and we go to the sun direction. We'll look at the pitch. So we can adjust the sun, and you can see as the sun's going up in the air, you can see our shadows getting much like, shorter. It's going up to being like a noontime right now, all the way up in the sky. And then as you bring it down, you'll start to see like your shadows get longer and longer all the way to the sunset, which I think is really cool.
Oh, that looks so cool.
Yeah.
So adjustable time of day.
Exactly, adjustable time of day.
I love how the skybox responds to where the sun's at.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool thing that we brought in. So like you just said, like the sun reacts, or the sky reacts like where the sun's going to be. So if it's really low in the ground or like to the horizon, you're going to see like this nice gradient going from like the orange all the way to the bluish black sky. And I think that's really cool to see. But we also have more control of that as well. If we go into like the sky rendering tabs that we have, this is how you adjust like your sky to be whatever color you want, a new feature that we added into Halo Infinite. So right now we have like a very bluish sky. And what if we want to make it like green or something? Well, now we can have a green sky. We can adjust the intensity as well, so it's more of a vibrant color. Really cool stuff. Or maybe you want to make it yellow, or I don't know, this pinkish color. You can do anything you want. But nothing ever beats a pink sun. So why don't we go ahead and make that? That's what I want to see. Perfect. That's perfection in the map right there, I think.
Yeah. Just like campaign.
Oh, yeah, perfect. It's just like campaign.
In addition to some incredible skybox controls, we also have some volumetric fog, correct?
Yeah, we do have volumetric fog. I don't use it very much in this map, but why don't we demonstrate it really quickly by just placing a light. So we'll go into the light section, place down a generic light, and we have a light that's kind of brightening up the environment. We'll go into map settings. All the way down the fog area, you'll see this volumetric setting called enable. Set that on, and now you can see your lights are casting this type of fog. Really cool and very powerful. This is how you get very like moody environments.
Very cool. And as part of this, we've got you dropped a light in. Is there anything else we can do with that light that you'd want to show us?
Well, I'd love to show off how we do our shadow system. I think that's a really big update from H5 coming into Halo Infinite. So why don't we just make it a spotlight really quick? We'll bring it over to this truck. We'll angle it over so we're kind of like casting on top of it. And we can see, you're having your light kind of leaking through. You're not seeing any shadows coming from this tire.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go into that light, set it to cast shadows on, there's your shadow right away. Which is really cool, because in H5, what you would do to generate out your shadows, you would have to bake out lighting. You don't have to do that anymore. With shadow work, all you gotta do is just set it on and off. You're golden.
Pretty awesome.
Got everything you need.
That's incredible. Quite the improvement there from game to game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, another really cool thing about the shadow system is, well, why don't we explain what a static shadow is going to be?
Sure.
Static shadows would be like walls, floors, anything in the environment that's not going to be moving.
Mm.
And then you have another setting called dynamic. Now, dynamic is going to be like vehicles, your character, or what we're going to showcase right now, your monitor. So I'm going to go in front of this light, and you can see we're not really casting a shadow over a monitor right now. But if we quickly set on dynamic shadows, well, now we do. We have a character. Now we can see our character cast shadows and everything from this light. Oop, and if we turn it back off and go in front of it, right away you're going to see it just go away. Super awesome to see. I'm very glad that we got this improvement.
Nice. And you put your Spartan in the light there.
Mhm.
Characters are also lit differently compared to Halo 5, correct?
Yeah, they are. So Halo 5, you would have kind of an issue where if it was really dark out, you would see your characters be very bright.
Mm.
We could fix that now. And I think a perfect way of showcasing that is, well, why don't we make the map pitch black?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, really simple to do. All you gotta do is just set everything off. Turn everything off. You don't need it.
And Michael, making a map really, really dark was a feature request, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a giant step up from
Yeah,
Halo 5.
I've
yeah?
seen many forum posts and tweets about trying to not have that I think it was rim lighting on the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we'll do to turn it like pitch black is first we set our sun like intensity down to 0. And now we're going to go back to our bounce lighting, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and we'll set that to be 0 as well. Now, our sky right now, or our ground is pretty dark right now, but we're still not getting there to pitch black. What if we set our sky tint to 0? So all the way up in the sky, you have like no color, and then our sun is as well. Now there's an issue here. We have this kind of like shiny reflectivity kind of going on in the background, more of this orange hue. We can go into the build menu and we can adjust something called the reflection volume. This is very similar to like what we had in H5, which was default cube maps. Default cube maps are just think of it as like taking a picture in an area and then slapping it on objects and saying that's your reflection you're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
When now it's using the previous cube map that we had before. When we generate it now, it's going to pick up everything else, and now everything else is pitch black. The only things that we have here in the environment now are fog placements that I placed beforehand and lights that I have right here. And you can also see the shadow casting from this truck right now too. Really crisp and nice to see.
Yeah.
So why don't we demonstrate how our characters react? We'll go into cam mode. We're in here in the environment, or in here in the light. And we can kind of see them popping out, and that's good, normal. Looking pretty good. We'll go back. We'll go out of the light, so we're in like pitch black. Go back to cam mode, and we can see our Spartan is actually pitch black right now. There's no indirect lighting to kind of like pop him out. He's not in the light at all. The only thing you can see is this cool effects art right now.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got the mouth like breathing effect.
That's how you know he's still alive. He's breathing.
That's actually terrifying if you set that up in like a custom game.
Yeah, super cool. I'm really glad that we're able to do this type of stuff. It's going to make really cool like horror type maps.
And then you mentioned some VFX. We can change some colors of some lighting VFX.
Yeah, all the VFX in the game are authored, so you can change the color of them.
Nice.
So you can make them fit whatever sort of theme you have going. Maybe you want to use fire effects, but you want them to be blue because they're methane or something like that. I don't know.
Get a nice covenant plasma fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just lots of flexibility there. And some of these effects have multiple emitters in them, and you can change the color of each emitter as you're seeing what Tyler's doing right now. So lots of flexibility here, lots of power to do what you want to do.
It's really fun to do. Very customizable, your effects now.
Yeah.
And then next, I know we wanted to talk about some light probes.
Yeah.
I believe.
This can get pretty complex, but let's try to run through it. So I think the very first thing that we'll need to do is let's fly over here to this ring section. And we're going to turn on a debug mode that we have. We'll go here, and it's called Display Light Probes. Now you can kind of see like these little spheres that are around the map. Now they're pitch black right now because we made the map pitch black. That makes sense. Let's go up and start turning this stuff on. We have two different settings here. We have light bounce, and light bounce is going to be lighting influence from lights that you've placed on the map as well as your sun. And if we start cranking this guy up really quick, we can start seeing they're getting much brighter. And that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. You know, this section where lighting is, it's a little exaggerated because I cranked it, but we can see there's light influence. And if we go back here, it's getting dimmer and dimmer. You're going to have less influence of that light.
Yeah.
But sky lighting will help cover that. This will be like an exterior ambient color that you'll have in your map. So if you turn on, now you can see throughout the entire world, you're getting this ambient hue, which is awesome to see. But the only issue with sky probes, not really an issue, but it needs to see the sky in order to work. So if you were to make a cave system and you had skylight in there and enough probes, you're not really going to see skylight influence. Only the light bounce. And that's just because you're not seeing the sky. So really cool that you can add in.
And this pretty much shows how light is being cast throughout the map.
Yeah, like a cool ambient tone, how we go from like pitch black to having like some cool ambient tones. Now, moving on from that, we can also see how dense these probes are.
Yeah.
You could not see this stuff in H5. And so we add this feature so you can increase your density. And the more probes you have, the better, more accurate your lighting is going to be. But it's also going to increase the amount of times that you have to, like, the time that you have to generate as well. So always be aware of that. And why don't we demonstrate it really quick? Not the generating, but like, how do you get these types of like probes? You go into the map options. Down here at the bottom, you have something called level bound probes. And we have this first setting called objects. Objects means for level bound probes, you as a forger place down objects, and then it automatically scales a volume and says, I want there to be indirect lighting in this area. Automatically done for you. It's really quick and simple. And then we have another one called level. Level would make a volume that goes from these diamond boundaries. Each one of them, it'll create like a giant rectangle.
Covers the whole canvas?
The whole canvas, yeah.
Gotcha.
And that way the probes will generate in that area. So they're more sparsed out. They're not as accurate as like, you know, a small section like this, but they give you a good ambient, you know, term everywhere. And then down here at the bottom, we have probe spacing. Probe spacing is just how close together these probes are. Right now, we're at like 600,000 or whatever. I can't see that number, but it's really high. You can't go past 14,000. If you tried, it will say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So go back to object, and right here, we can see that like we're under that limit. So it's good to burn.
Nice.
Yeah, the game will stop you from
it will stop
really going crazy in that regard.
But 14,000 probes, I think, gives you really awesome results. So you can get some really cool things.
Yeah, it was looking amazing, right?
Yeah, before we're destroying the map.
Yeah, before you started taking it apart piece by piece.
That's true.
One thing, in addition to that, you did say you could change colors to allow you to see the environment lighting a little bit better.
Yeah. So if we go up for like the indirect lighting, you mean, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So down here, or up here, I should say, we have skylighting, and we kind of see we have this like orange tint to it. We can adjust this to be whatever color we want. I think this is really awesome to have. Kind of gives you an idea of how you want your, at least for an exterior, how you want your level to kind of come together. And I think this is powerful enough that it helps you. You don't necessarily have to generate your lighting all the time. If you're working very early on and you're like, I want to see how my level looks with like this bright yellow, and you'll be like, all right, I'll turn on, you know, skylighting. I'll mess with the indirect of how intense it is. And I'm like, all right, now I got a cool ambient tone. Very important to nail that down. And then as you continue to work, you can like add more probes in and get more accurate lighting with your results, like a light bounce. So it'll start picking up more of like this color they have back here.
Mm-hmm. And now to keep us moving, I know you had light and shadow heat maps you wanted to show us too.
Oh, this is probably one of my favorite features, actually. So we'll turn off probes really quick. And we'll use this light that we have for the truck. I'll duplicate this a few times, move them around. And I will set one of them to not cast a shadow. Just really quickly.
And
No
this
shadow
was
feed.
a pretty popular request we're about to show off, right? Super valuable to our power like Forge users, right?
This is definitely like
Yeah.
what we inherited from Slip Space. Like this is helping you control your light overlap and your shadow overlap to help better control performance.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was always a big concern in Halo 5. People make out these maps, they look awesome, but then you get to the performance stage and you're like,
The
man, the
lighting
first thing
system's
people
gonna
always
be really
delete
good
was
for
lighting.
zombie maps,
We're
so I
like, well,
can't
how
wait.
can we
It's
help,
gonna be
help
freaking
that a little
killer.
bit so people don't do that and have cool looking maps.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can have this overlapping area here. So you go into debug, in the tool settings, you have this thing called shadow overlap and light overlap. Light overlap is going to be, these lights are not casting shadows, but you can start to see like the more brighter color this gets all the way to this beige, the more expensive these lights are going to be.
It's a full-on heat map. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really
Oof,
big,
yeah.
very nice to have, and it's the exact same with shadows. Because shadows are gonna be a little bit more expensive than normal lights, and whenever you can see that difference, like you can see here, we're only casting like 2 shadow lights, when here we're just casting like 8 of them, or 9. So really helpful to have.
And then I think the last thing we wanted to touch on this map was reflection volumes.
Reflection volumes, yes.
Yeah.
We mentioned this a little bit earlier
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the default
You
heat
alluded
map.
to it, yeah.
But there's something in the map that hasn't really been adjusted when we were messing around with our indirect lighting. So let's crank up our indirect lighting. And you may have noticed like we're getting these black hexes in the background. And this is because these are fully metal objects. Fully metal objects are not really going to take in diffused lighting like we are with the indirect. But it is going to take in nice specular information. And that's what these reflection volumes are for. So we have this like chrome ball that's right here. We can see it's picking up the sky, but overall it's pretty much black. Let's go ahead and just generate this. Reflection probes, build selected, and now we can see we're getting a nice tone on these hexes now. They're not pitch black anymore. And we go up to the actual chrome ball, we can see that it's actually taking a picture, and it's doing that exact thing of just slapping that picture on top of these objects. There's your reflection.
So that reflection volume orb like takes a 360-degree picture and then allows it to project that as a reflection on like nearby objects.
Yeah, it's super useful to have. If you think about how we did use this in like campaign, we use this all the time in campaign for like dungeons, the Forerunner dungeons, plastered everywhere at the cube maps. That's how you get an ambient tone. So if you ever use anything that's more metal, always use the reflection volumes. You're going to get some really cool looking stuff with that.
Very nice. And I think that wraps us up on this beauty corner that you got to work on.
Yes,
And we wanted to take a look at a map some community members were working on in our Forge Council flight. So if we want to jump on in there, we can absolutely start flying around
Do you want to drive?
and take a
Yeah.
look. Yeah, Tyler,
I'll
if
go
you
ahead
want
and
to drive
this
there.
right now.
We've got, we're in the shadows here in a very dark map, and we've got a Warthog, a truck. What are we looking at?
So Nitro and Mythical Fritz been working on this map. They want to make a really dark map, which I think is awesome to see. And I think they're doing a really cool job. It's still a work in progress they're working on, but why don't we just take a look at like some things they've been working on with lighting. We're
Yeah.
getting flickering lights. We're in a cave section. They're getting a little campfire over here as well. The nice
Yeah.
effects and the orange lighting. Like, this is really cool. I love how it's coming out. And then if you start looking up in these trees, you'll start to see they're getting a little bit of this moonshine and nice like rays coming through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
These rays are coming from light cones. Light cones are also making an appearance from H5 again, which gives you a really cool depth to your atmosphere and just helps so much. We use it all over the place in MP and campaign. And another really thing they added was adding in like the moon. The moon's really cool and very creative how they did it. They just made a primitive sphere, made it white, and then used the grunge, kind of like we showed off a little bit earlier, but it's really cool.
And they
Very
brightened it
convincing
up so
moon.
it looks like a real moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
looks
the
just like
scratch
the
and
moon.
grime
Yep,
settings. They
scratch and
adjusted
grime.
that to give it a moon-like texture.
It's really cool. But yeah, this is just a map they're working on. love seeing the light cone work and all the depth they're adding in. The volumetric fog, if you turn it off, you'll see like, wow, it loses a lot of its mood and atmosphere. Like, it's really cool. I'm very happy to see these guys continue messing with the lighting system.
That is awesome. And now we wanted to touch on audio a little bit.
Yeah, we said we were going to talk about this later, and here we are. So we got a bunch of cool stuff in terms of lighting or audio in maps. One of the biggest things I heard about audio was that players could never turn off the audio in a map. Whatever the audio was in the map, you were stuck with. Well,
Yes.
now you can turn off audio. You can go into your ambient sounds in the map options, and you can, I can believe you set this to default, which will be no sound at all.
Cool.
And the primary sound is really as it sounds. It's the main sound that you'll hear when you're in the map. A secondary sound is just an additive to that. The audio team calls it a sweetener sound. So, you can combine. You could have a banished room with rain if you wanted to, or silly stuff. So you can, lots of power here to kind of choose the sound ambience that you want.
I heard you could also choose like battlefields, in like distant battle.
Yes,
as
like distant city, busy, distant city, quiet,
Mhm.
generator room, ship wreckage, scorched earth. Like
wow.
there's a lot of options here. You make it sound like it's underwater.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what it sounds like. Maybe bubbles,
Zombie
into
type
the
maps,
gurgling water.
Yeah.
So lots of options here to really make an experience that you want to, that's in your head, right?
We'll see.
We've also got the ability to change the reverb of whatever environment you're trying to make. So it can be a very reverb is basically the echo of sounds in an environment, and so you can change basically how much reverb you get in any particular map. So it can be wide open, which would not be a lot of reverb, almost very little, to like interior, large, like maybe that sounds more like a cathedral, where lots of echo, right? So super powerful in that regard. And then
the
also
audio effects.
the audio effects. This helium will pitch up all the sounds in the map, and space. What does space do?
Space makes it sound like outer space.
I didn't think so.
So if you wanted to,
of course it does.
we've had a few people remaking campaign missions in our Forge videos here. You could use this and make it sound like Halo 4 and Halo 2 had some outer space, right? You're just outside the ship, and you get that kind of nice space sound effect. You can kind of, I think it's Cairo Station in Halo 2 and a couple maps in Halo 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also like you can preview these while you're in edit mode, but if you don't want to do that, you can toggle those off, and then when you go into play mode, you'll be able to hear the sounds that you've done. And similar to how we've been talking about the lighting being built, audio is also built. So when you can see here, we've got these audio emitters placed. Once you've placed all your audio and you've set your primary and secondary sounds and all that stuff, you can go and build audio data. And what that does is it basically makes it sound more accurate. So when audio is behind a wall, it's going to sound quieter because that's how it would be in real life. Footsteps will sound quieter, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's the obstruction being generated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Very cool. And then we also have, like we see those emitters, you can script audio too, right?
You can. We'll go into Node Graph really quickly. This really isn't about that, but you can go into the Node browser and you can play audio for all players, play audio for opposing teams, for a specific team. You can set an audio loop on a specific object. So lots of power there to not only place ambient sounds that run all the time, but also place scripted sounds that will start to play and stop to play based on events that happen.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much wraps up what we wanted to talk about today. Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover or say before we wrap up?
I think we're pretty good. I am very excited to see what everyone makes in the Forged levels. Everyone's been making already really cool stuff, especially with the lighting. And I want to see them use this stuff now. Just blow me out of the water. Like, what are you going to make now?
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm, every time I listen to this guy talk, I learn something new about Forge, which is kind of amazing. So really appreciate that. But yeah, what I've seen so far from the Forge runners and everyone else has just been really insane. So I'm looking forward to how crazy it's going to get.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us as we wrap up our third video here on Forge. We will have another video coming out soon talking about asset and file management, so you can look forward to that. But thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.
So, like I said before, super stoked. Sorry, allergies have been kicking my butt, so it just kind of seems like I'm just not interested, but I really am. I can't wait for this. Like I said, I've been viewing videos, I've been viewing maps. Every little detail means everything to an artist, a content creator, whatever you want to call yourself. I mean, this is something special. So, if this is really what it's truly going to be, this is going to blow everyone out of the water for people that love Forge and creating things. So this is going to be pretty cool. If you guys like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and write a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed more of these videos, like I said, you can always go to my page. Make sure to turn on that notification bell ringer to get updated on new videos. Thank you guys. Nana Miller out.